We provide advocacy for the clients. We also make certain that they have their entitlements, whether or not that's Social Security or Medicaid, which we're concerned about, as well as any other benefits they need. That can include housing. Sometimes some of our clients have utility issues. We make certain that their utilities are not cut off. When they're facing possible eviction, we work with others to get certain that eviction doesn't like take place. When we talk about all of those social ills, it's what our founder, Emma Bowen, spoke about. She referred to them over 40 years ago as problems of living. Those social ills that impact one's mental health and exacerbates one's mental health. And now, as we move forward to this time, we now, the clinicians, the social scientists, refer to those problems of living as the social determinants of health. So I guess Emma was a little ahead of that time. And it's so true. We saw that especially during the time of the pandemic. So through the Bowen Center, we serve 5,000 clients annually. We also provide over 88,000 meal packages annually. And because we're concerned about the issues of food inequities that exist in our community. The clients we serve are from the Harlem community, but also from the 5 boroughs. So we cover a wide range because we're still concerned about the stigma and the way in which people try to shy away from mental illness. And once you're not shy away, once you get those services, especially for children. We've come a long way. And it's with deep gratitude and appreciation that tonight I want to recognize our Executive Director, Thomas Howard. It's with appreciation that Tom has done a remarkable job. He has made many, many accomplishments. He has guided our organization with passion, with integrity, and always making certain that whatever we did impacted the community. We appreciate you, Tom, and you will leave a legacy. There are many achievements that we and leave behind, and you shall be missed. So on behalf of the board of directors, the staff, and the entire community, we thank you. And on a personal note from me, my heartfelt appreciation. It has been a pleasure working with you. We will miss you and want to wish you all the best as you embark on a new chapter in your life. All the best. Thank you. And you can see Ms. Will sitting in the chair as anchor of the New York Tonight, focusing on the events of the day at 8 p.m. and again at 10 o'clock on the New York News 10. Very good. I watch you. And in addition to that, she also is the host of the show In Focus, which is a very, very interesting show that takes place on Sundays, 10:30 and 3:30.
Oh my goodness.
I watch it.
Oh, so good. Good evening, everybody. And Miss Jordan is so generous. I want to hire her as my publicist. I have never seen anyone spit off everything I've done so beautifully. Thank you for that. And now let me brag on you. 40 years as the head of the Emma Bowen Community Center, and she has been upholding the legacy of a very powerful woman, and I just admire you in so many ways. And I want to thank you for watching In Focus every Sunday, and I think it's time to have her on my show. Thank you for what you've done, sowing seeds in this community, even as so much is changing. And what we just saw was the perfect Women's History Month program. I am so inspired. I mean, I leaned in while watching this. I didn't know much about Augusta's legacy, and I am just so proud of Renee for amplifying her story, and we need more of this. This needs to be on Broadway. Is anyone in agreement with that? This needs to be, not that it's uptown, but it deserves also to be downtown.
Could not agree more.
And I am going to air this on my show on not this Sunday, next Sunday, with sound. I'm going to interview Renee after we do our 20-minute talk back, and I'm also going to interview you, my lady. Okay? Yes, so stay tuned for In Focus, not this Sunday, well, watch this Sunday too, but next Sunday, we are going to just close out Women's History Month with this amazing production. So thank you. Is Renee ready?
Thank you.
Come on, there she is. There she is. What a phenomenal guest. So nice to meet you in person.
I saw the play about last September, okay, and it was in the downtown area, and I was highly impressed. When I saw what Renee did and the message that she was bringing, I thought it was very, very important that we bring the message to this community and to make certain that we let the community know about the history of Augusta and the contributions. And when you listen to what Renee did and hear her talk about all those past people who were so important to us, Mr. DeBoy, Mr. Johnson, and one of my favorites, Langston Hughes.
Yes.
So what you've done is fantastic. We need to do more of it, and we need to make certain that we try to get young people in because they need to hear and understand what it takes when you're determined, and you have that dogged determination to make it work, regardless of what's facing you. It's a message that needs to be shared with young women.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And I want to say thank you very much to the Bowen Center for inviting me to share this with everyone. It was a great honor. And thank you for being here. I always feel like, people could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. So I am honored that you've chosen to be here. Thank you for that.
I was just so plugged in. You did a masterful job. Anytime there's a one-person show, I mean, that takes a whole different level of skill, and you nailed it, okay? So, what inspired you to bring this story to life?
Okay, well, let's see. This is a long journey. I'll do the Reader's Digest version. Before I moved to New York, which was 100 years ago, that long ago, I was the associate artistic director of a theater company. It was the only black theater company in this town called Lansing, Michigan, capital of Michigan. And we were looking for women we wanted to honor. And I didn't know about Augusta. And my partner, in the theater company, co-director, artistic director, she brought her up, and I was inspired by her. I was much younger, much more versatile, and I could dance, so I wanted to put dance into the piece. Well, I moved to New York 9 years ago, and not forgot, but you get in New York, you get into life, you get into business, and you're hustling. And that kind of fell by the wayside. Well, a couple of years ago, during COVID, an organization called Put a Woman on a Pedestal, they sent out a request looking for monologues about women who they felt should have statues. Because in New York, less than 1% of the statues in New York are women. So they're advocating for this to happen. And the first person who came to my mind was like, Augusta needs a statue here. So I wrote the monologue, and then a bunch of us shared it on Zoom, and then they had a festival in Staten Island. And what I noticed, there were 4 of us that performed, and all the pieces were wonderful, fantastic. But what I noticed was really interesting was every time I finished, I would be there for an extra half an hour to an hour with people asking me questions about Augusta. And I went, oh no, it's time. It's time to do a piece about her because the world needs to know. Because she did a lot.
For a woman born during the 1920s, that's extraordinary what she was able to accomplish. I mean, Jim Crow was still the law of the land.
Yep.
Let's not forget the time she lived in.
Mm-hmm.
And she had no role models. She
Nope.
was a pioneer. Talk more about that.
Well, she was the first woman who did numerous things during her time period, and the first Black woman to do many things. As you saw, she was the first woman to open an art school, Black woman to open an art school, a major art school. And the fact that she mentored so many of the male artists that we automatically go, oh, great artists, Harlem Renaissance. And then you go, wait, their mentor was Augusta Savage. You know,
And that's been lost.
yes, it's definitely been lost. And I thought, you know, people need to know that.
Yeah, we know Jacob Lawrence,
Right.
but I didn't know that Augusta taught Jacob Lawrence until this show.
Yep. She was one of his mentors.
Isn't that something?
Yes. There are quite a few people that studied with her.
Yeah.
And I can't remember all the names now because I did the research a while ago. You know, it was a lot of research, and what I do is grab a lot of research, get a lot of information, figure out this story, the play itself could have been like 2 hours long.
Oh, for sure.
Because there was so much more she had done. Her journey was so complex, and I just went, okay, you got to pick and choose.
Yeah.
And so I let a lot of those other things fall by the wayside. But today, before I came in here, I started rereading some of my notes, and I was like, oh, I didn't put that in. Oh, I could have put that in. Oh. So I kind of, you know, but I feel like, did you get a sense of her life?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Especially from when she was making ducks as a little girl, right?
Yes.
And I didn't know where that was going. And then I said, oh, okay. And, you know, they kind of teased her, right?
Yep.
For making me, but it just shows you how those childhood gifts start to express itself.
Yep.
And she trusted it. And, oh, you did a beautiful job. Did you want to add? Okay, so where was some of the questions I had, since we're right here in Harlem, where was the school here?
The school was on 133rd.
And?
Okay, I'm drawing a blank.
So
Senior moment.
Maybe 7th Avenue?
It was somewhere, no, not Edgecombe. I think around St. Nicholas.
Oh, wow.
I think. And then I think she had, if I remember correctly, again, like I said, I didn't read all my notes.
Sure,
I meant to.
Sure.
But one thing, I noticed a direct correlation between that and Studio Museum
Yes.
in Harlem. I think that was where her first studio was. Her first, her major gallery, her first gallery was there.
And I recognized the last piece of art that you put
Mhm.
up, for sure.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that? What's the name of it?
The last one, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
Every Voice, right.
And that to me was a really heartbreaking thing. She did spend 2 years making it.
And she really couldn't afford the bronze?
No, because what happened, it was as a Black woman, she did not have those connections, which is why she was always calling people and saying, help me. Help me. She had connections enough. I think one of my favorite moments is the realization that the community within Harlem rallied around her to get her to Paris. You know what I mean? Because that started a bigger part of her journey, was her getting to Paris. And, but to get the money to get something bronzed, a part of me, I inferred by reading, a lot of the language in there is directly lifted from newspaper articles and interviews with her. There are no audio recordings or video recordings of her, even in the 60s or the 50s. It's interesting. I looked all over, and I couldn't find any. But what I inferred was that she wasn't taken as seriously by the art community as that would rally around to help her get, because bronzing was very expensive,
Yes.
you know?
And was it really 15 feet? You said it was.
It's 16 feet tall.
It really
It was
was.
16 feet tall.
Wow.
There are pictures of her standing next to it,
Oh,
and it's like
wow.
gargantuan. She's like, you know, and one of the ones that was able to be bronzed, and the reason why it was able to be bronzed was because the community of Harlem raised the money.
Wow.
And that was the one that realization, the man and the woman sitting,
Yeah.
which came about right about the time, a little bit after she lost her child, that child. But it was because the Harlem community came together and raised money for that.
And you know, it's shocking that erasure, as I always tell people, is a real thing when it comes to Black history.
Mm-hmm.
And her story has not been given its just due. If I walk down the street right now and said, "Who's Augusta Savage?" most people would say, "Not sure." And look at her impact.
Mm-hmm.
So when you brought this story back to life, as a woman artist, what did it do for you in this new age of erasure?
You know what? I gotta say, it sounds so weird and new agey, but I feel like it's not just inspired, it just, and beyond invigorated,
Yeah.
it like made my spine strong.
Yeah.
Because to know that, because we all, as an artist, we struggle. We have challenges, we all do. And to know that she went through all of that in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And even though people don't know who she is, a lot of people don't. Some people do, but they don't know that much about her. That she accomplished what she did by sheer determination. It makes you think, okay, what you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are you doing? And also, I don't know, it just makes me feel, I get kind of choked up when I think about Augusta, because I feel like she was just so glossed over.
Yes.
Because she was part of the Harlem Renaissance.
Yes.
You don't see her name in there
That's
that much.
what I was about to say.
You don't see her name there, but she was
Not one of the bold names.
Nope, she was a contemporary of Langston Hughes and Zora Hurston and County Cullen and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
She was part of that, and you don't. So the fact, it says something to me about, it's about what it is about her determination to be an artist, and that it's art because she loved art and it's what she had to do, and she listened to her spirit. And that says to me, as an artist, what matters is listening to spirit, listening to heart, and just saying, I do this for the love of it. It's about feeding my soul and hoping to bring something that helps, that connects with other people.
Yes.
To connect. And so I think that's a big part of this experience for me.
You know what I also loved when you addressed how people, and Black women get this, oh, you're so angry. Oh, you're so hard. I love that you addressed that. And I felt, judging from the life that you just amplified on stage, she had a right to be angry. She had, I call that righteous anger.
Yes.
She lived in a world that devalued her and her talents.
Yep.
And that needed to be addressed. And I wanted to applaud you for singling that out, because Black women are always criticized. They can't be who they are. What are we supposed to do? Tap dance every day and smile in your face and serve you pancakes?
Right.
I mean, her life was hard.
Right.
And you addressed that.
Yes, that was one. In many of the articles I read about her, those were quotes.
Yeah.
That she was this and she was that. And I was like,
picking her apart.
Yeah, tearing her apart. And I was like, no. And there was an actual quote, the whole thing about, and quote me correctly, one of the newspaper articles I read specifically said, Negro sculptors forced to submit a piece to the New York World's Fair. I'm like, she was not forced.
Right.
She was approached and she said yes. I was like, forget you.
Right.
Don't say, no.
Imagine how she felt. Steve.
Yes, exactly. And what voice did she have to fight that on that level? you know, because there were a lot of things written about her. And one of the things about her that I found, you know, she was a very enigmatic person and very private, very, very private. And so one of the things I found interesting when I was doing all my research, went to the best place in New York to research the Schomburg.
Absolutely.
I went to Schomburg, and they actually have some of her
Oh,
work
sure,
there.
I've seen it there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Part of the collection. Yep, part of the collection. And oh, I can't tell you what it did to me when they pulled it all out, and I was like, "Ah."
I know, yeah.
And you know, you can't touch it, but I was like, can we just please, you know, feel that, you know. But one of the things that was interesting to me in reading all the articles was how putting forth that positive face, putting forth
The mask.
the mask. But she did speak out about certain things. She did speak out about the Negro primitive. She did speak out about replicating African art. She did speak out about some things, but everything had to do with how Black people as artists, how we could really, really take care of ourselves, move ourselves forward, and own who we are.
Yes.
And
She
that-
was ahead of her time.
She was. She really was. She was a revolutionary
Yes,
in her own way.
Yes, she was.
She died in the Bronx.
Are any descendants upholding her legacy?
No. No, from what I understand, there is a granddaughter, but the granddaughter will not talk about her because I tried my best to interview her. I really wanted to. And I was told she will not talk about
And
her.
this is also how our legacies become lost. You
Yeah.
know, when I was searching for my Civil War grandfather,
Mhm.
no one had any information.
Mm-hmm.
And if it hadn't been for records being digitized and uploaded, I would have never found him.
Yep.
So I'm so glad again that you did this.
Thank you.
And again, this is Women's History Month and it's right on time.
Thank you.
So another round of applause for
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Sounds like we need to do this again.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And as I said before, you know, it's a story that needs to be in the schools. You know, it's one of the curriculum.
Well, I'm actually, there's a theater company that works in the schools, and I'm actually developing a version of this for them to go into, that I'm going to take into the schools.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And it will happen.
Yes.
Cheryl, thank you so very much.
I took the night off to be here and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.